Hey guys, I wanted to bring you another update. It's been perhaps almost 3 weeks since the last update I shared. What's been going on since that time is I had to go back and redo the effect and the combat system, and because I did that, it touched quite a bit on some other systems, such as the AI, including pets and monsters. So there was a lot of that going on. The effects system now, I think, is in a better place. I got rid of a lot of redundant code that was being created because of how I was handling all the different effects. Now, granted, not all the effects work still. For example, I don't think Reap effect works, things like that. However, there is a basic form of thorns that does work, and absorbs that do work. So, we're incrementally adding more effects as we go through. The other exciting feature that I implemented was the loot system. So I finally got a proper loot system in place. Now, the way this works, and and it might not seem like a big deal, but truthfully, it really is, because uh, if you understand kind of how things sort of evolve in the game, you know that, for example, to get past the Arwick Mines quest, you have to have a hammer to drop off the dredges, and there was no good way for us to do that up until I created this system. So, creating a system is a big sort of undertaking. You have to basically create kind of the infrastructure, the framework, and then sort of shape it into something that's functional. So, for example, the shopkeeper system that I created, the consignment system, the quest system, effect system, move system that you guys aren't even aware of, and then combat itself. How do we limit a player from using a skill? Do they have the right weapon implemented? Do they have enough vigor? Do they have the right effect on them? These are all systems I designed, and they take a lot of time, because you're not adding like content. You are literally creating from the ground up a whole new rules, and you have to do it without introducing, well, I mean, you will introduce bugs. That's the reality of it, because these systems tend to be complicated. But you hopefully do it without introducing crashes, and that's not been the case. I don't think my track record is too great, but that's what happens when you have me doing this. So now with Loot System, I'm just calling it Loot System 2.0 colloquially. It's not like the first system was really 1.0. The first loot system we had was basically, I took every single item in the game, and just every time a monster died, I just randomly picked one. That's why everything was dropping, from Tyrant's armor to pumpkins to probably magic eeps and all kinds of weird things. So what I did this time was I actually created libraries for the monsters, and the monsters basically have their own profiles, and these profiles contain the libraries of what they can drop. So there's a weapons library, there's an armor library, there's a jewelry library, there's miscellaneous library. Okay, and then there's also quest drop libraries. And so the monster, when it dies, passes its key to the loot system, and the loot system will then pull the profile out and will determine randomly which library to select from. And the cool thing about what we have is that the libraries themselves are weighted. So if we want, for example, a monster to have a higher chance to drop weapons, like 60% weapons, 40% armor, we can do that. That's really cool. I don't know if the original game did that. I think the original game just had basically libraries, one library that had a bunch of items, that then those items had relative drop chances compared to one another. So, for example, maybe like War Wraths had a drop library that had weapons and armors, and then it had junk in it, like House of Jazz and maybe Sangog Brothers, and those individual items themselves, I think, were tweaked. Their values relative to one another. The way I did it was I added another layer of sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Gradation, kind of a gradient, so to speak. And so the libraries themselves are weighted against one another, and then within those libraries, the items themselves can be weighted against one another. So there's quite a bit of tweaking and sort of finessing you can do and really kind of nail the drop rates the way you want them. So if we wanted vermin to not be able to drop jewelry, we could literally, now of course they do right now, because I'm testing this system out. But if we wanted the vermin to not be able to drop jewelry or not be able to drop junk, or maybe only one piece of junk, like I have glyphs, for example, inside the miscellaneous profile, which I'm calling junk loot. But for example, we can target that. We can say, I only want the vermin to be able to drop glyphs. I don't want them to be able to drop gems or jewelry or whatever. So now this is the first time we're testing this. So, the amount of items on these loot tables are small because the items themselves, once you drop them, they have to be generated. So what that means is let's say you want a Tumarok breastplate, right? Like one of those vine breastplate. Well, the way the game has it set up in the background is there is a template for the vine breastplate. That template has the model, it has the icon, it has the name, it has a base value, and that's it. It doesn't even have the armor or the combat delay on that. So what we have to do is once we select that item, we then have to generate the stats. And so the stats right now are randomly generated. And to provide a little bit of, again, gradation, sort of kind of levels to the armors and weapons as they drop, is that randomization is affected by the average level of the drops library value. So every monster, the way I did it was every monster their tables have an average level, and that average level helps us sort of pinpoint where we kind of go up and down on those values for weapons and armor and things like that. So again, it's not perfect. It may not be close to retail. The way I did it was I watched a ton of videos to see how, and I literally took notes. I wrote down sort of what I saw in the examination window on these videos, and I kind of used that to sort of try and figure out if there was a pattern to it, and then I kind of used that. Again, it's a very loose sort of interpretation, so very much subject to change, but the point is we got the system in, we have a base framework we can build on and expand on, and that's the big important thing here. So anyways, if I kill this guy, he may or may not drop something. I don't know what the drop rate, I mean, it's random. So the other thing too that is really important for this is we can now go into the Arwick mines, and because we have now quest drop libraries, we can drop the mining hammer so people can advance the quest. Now, the infrastructure is not there to advance the quest when you pick up the hammer. Okay, so if you go into the Arwick mines and you're like, I'm gonna finally get past that first part of the quest, just understand that, well, no, you probably won't. See, here's an Esper glyph, right? So that might not be appropriate on a bold vermin like this here outside the Arwick mines, so maybe I need to change that later. But right now for testing, it's there, okay? And then I'll go inside and now the other thing that I didn't tell you guys about that I also implemented since the last update was you can now coin items from your inventory. Now, there's a little bit of a problem with it. When you coin them, they disappear, but if you relog, they will appear in your inventory as an hourglass. So there's still some work to be done with that. I need to look at more into this more to get it working 100%. But I just want to make aware you can do that. Again, your character is gonna develop sort of maybe a glitched inventory. I haven't tested it too extensively. So here's our Drudge Outcast guy. I'm gonna kill him. Let's see if he drops the Arwick Mines hammer for us. Nope. Oh, I died to something underground. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, so as you know, we still have work to do with that, the kind of AI line of sight sort of stuff. Now this was broken on live and it's working now again. So there's our band members. The interesting thing about this too is if you log out and log back in, you'll also see an hourglass for the item. So I still need to fix that, but just making you aware. And
Quest
then this is
received.
working. And yes, you do get a quest when you ride them out. Don't worry about it right now. It's a bit of a quirk in how things are set up at the moment, but I just yeah, it's a feature that needs to be fixed. So don't worry about it. It doesn't do anything for you. It just is the way it is right now. So I'm not too concerned about it. We'll change it later. So, anyways, those are kind of all the things. Let me show you here now. I can coin, for example, this javelin. I don't know if it has a value. It has a value, 1 coin. So now I've got 52 coins. So things you can't coin that. You can't coin your egg. Okay, there are some restrictions. You can't coin quest items. So I don't know if you can coin. Yep, can coin that. There goes my Esper Vault Cliff. So yeah, and I'll show you guys the hourglass thing real quick, just so that you know I'm not crazy. Let's get logged out real quick here, and then let me go back into there. Oh, that's not the right character. Whoops. Oh well. Uh, okay. Anyways, that's kind of everything that's been going on the past few months. What I've been working on. So hope you guys are excited. You know, a lot of stuff there, and we're getting a little bit closer. Regarding the networking issue, we were supposed to have an internal update on that. However, there was a emergency for one of the guys working on the team who was making that, so that was pushed back just a little bit. But we are making we're slowly getting closer towards fixing what we call the NAC sequencing kind of disconnect issue. So that's still in the works. You know, appreciate your patience and hanging out with us. And if you want to help with the project, there are plenty of ways to help out. Remember, everyone that does work on this, the 2 or 3 of us who do it out of our free time. So we don't, and it's a lot of work. But if you want to help out, you can. There are many ways to do so. You can also help with, I told the people on Discord that it would be helpful if I got a list of kind of different weapons and their stats and stuff for different level ranges so that I could kind of compare the damage values to the combat delay, to the Vigor cost, to the armor rating, and see how those sort of change over time on levels to try and come up with a formula, or maybe just, you know, pick random values that would fit for those average level ranges to approximate the original game as best as possible. And there's also, you can run around the world when the server's up and you can type dot location in chat like that, get your exact position, your land block. And if you see something missing in the game, like a life stone or something, you can post this information. We have a thread in the Discord that allows you to post location for missing objects. So if you see a life stone that's missing, or you see an NPC that help us populate the world, help us bring it back to life by providing us this information. And because we have the ability to add a lot of life to the world, but we just don't have anyone, you know, helping us do it. Like, I'm creating systems, but I can't populate all the data, make systems, fix bugs. Like, there's just no way. I need help. So if you're passionate about the game and you want to get involved as often as possible, there are ways to do it. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to have programming knowledge or any of that kind of stuff. There's so much to be done. There's a whole AC2 HQ website that is offline that you can pull. You can peruse the different index pages. You can find valuable information, maybe patch notes that might provide clues into how things were calculated. What the dev said about certain things, pets, pet data, levels for pets, things like that. So anyways, that's this video. I think it's getting kind of long, so I'm going to end it there. Hope you're excited. Hope this was, enjoyable to watch and hear, and keeps you excited. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you in Dareth. See you in the next video. Bye.